And happy SEL Day, everybody. It is now, we're heading into the fourth session of our 9 sessions, 9 hours of this live streaming SEL Day Summit. We are so happy to be with you. This session will be about empowering educators to promote social emotional learning through parent engagement and community collaboration. I'm Jim Vetter, and I'm Executive Director of the Social Emotional Learning Alliance for the United States, one of the host organizations for SEL Day. And John, let's take a look at some of the folks that we're going to thank for being part of this amazing effort. So John, if you just put the slides up, thank you. So SEL Day 2025. Our theme this year is Skills for Success, Ready for the Future. And SEL for US has organized SEL Day with the Urban Assembly and our international partner, 6 Seconds, working in close collaboration with the Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning, CASEL, and Committee for Children. We'd also like to say that if you can go to the selday.org/summit page on the SEL Day website, you can see all of the additional sessions coming up. So an amazing day of programming, all available to you. So please do take a look. All the sessions are being recorded. So if there's some of the sessions happening later today that you may have to miss, that you can go, or if you missed any of the 3 earlier sessions, the first 2 sessions, the recording is already posted on the website. So those are all available for you. We'd like to give a big thank you to the sponsors for SEL Day. If you go to the summit page, you can click on the links of the 3 supporter sponsors that are listed there. On the sponsor page, you can find information about the other sponsors as well. So we'd like to give that big thank you to some long-standing sponsors of SEL Day, that Lions Quest, Pure Edge, and Antioch University are all returning sponsors, as well as Ruler from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, the Center for Responsive Schools with Responsive Classroom and Fly5 are returning sponsors. And new this year, we have Wayfinder and Attachment Matters. So we'd like to say a big thank you to all those folks and to the folks on the SEL Day Planning Committee that have been working for many months to put this event together, along with lots of other colleagues from our host organizations and others, and all of you who are doing amazing work around social emotional learning throughout your communities. So take a moment right now, and over in the chat, everybody here, please go ahead and just put in the chat, where in the world are you connecting from today? Where are you locating? And we have over 3,000 people around the world and all across the United States who have signed up for SEL Day. And even right now, we've got folks from Honduras we've got with us. Go ahead and just type in, we've got New Jersey, we've got Maryland, yes, go ahead, Indianapolis, Rhode Island, and just go ahead and you can continue typing those in as we go. And tomorrow, you are going to get in your email, if you've signed up for SEL Day, you are going to get a very short, it's just a quick 6-question survey. Please do take a moment to fill that out, because that will be really helpful in the work of promoting personal and interpersonal skills that our children and youth need and that our employers want. So please do take a moment to do that. And right now, we're going to take down these slides because I would like to turn things over to Ashton Gauthier to kick off this amazing summit session.
Thanks, Jim. So welcome to Empowering Educators to promote SEL through parent engagement and community collaboration. I'm Ashton Gauthier. I'm the Director of Social Emotional Learning Initiatives for SEL for CT, and I'm with the Connecticut Network for Children and Youth. And I'm so excited to introduce Christine and Christine, who are dedicated advocates for early childhood education and family well-being, each bringing extensive experience to the Northeast Early Childhood Council. So first up, we have Christine Cicchetti, who has served on the NECC's as the regional director since 2013, leveraging her background in marketing and business admin to build strategic partnerships, implement effective programs, and sustain an inclusive, collaborative network of stakeholders. She provides essential staff support for the council's operations, coordinating efforts to promote early childhood education and children's social, emotional, and physical health. She's a Yukon People Empowering People Facilitator, and Christine has also led capacity building initiatives with parent education and leadership training. Next up, we have Christine Rosati Randall, who's been involved with the NECC since 2009 in roles ranging from parent volunteer to regional director. She's previously served on the NECC's leadership team as a CT state representative and worked as a home visitor with Day Kimball Healthcare's Nurturing Families Network, becoming a certified Parents as Teachers educator. Christine currently conducts outreach across the 7 Northeast Connecticut communities, engaging with parents, caregivers, and local organizations. She collaborates with community partners to facilitate workshops and parent leadership training, and is a certified facilitator in both the Circle of Serenity program and Yukon's PEP program, as well as other Christine. So Christine are vital in supporting the NECC's mission to ensure that all children from birth to 8 are healthy, safe, and successful learners. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Ashton, and welcome. Thank you, everybody, for inviting us here today to show how we engage with families with our SEL workshops and parent cafes, and offering resources that support the emotional well-being and self-regulation and connection of parents and children. Today, we are going to show you a presentation, and the overview is really going to be how we created the SEL Kit Project, our best practices, how we actually go through a workshop with families, and feedback from parents. And I'm going to share my presentation. Is that coming up? Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. So we are with the Northeast Early Childhood Council. We're also called the NECC. It's a regional early childhood collaborative that is comprised of 7 towns up here in Northeast Connecticut. And our mission is that all children, birth through 8, are healthy, safe, and successful learners. And we conduct a variety of family and community engagement activities to help our communities achieve this mission. And so, again, today we're here to share our best practices with you, and in hopes that maybe you can replicate this in your communities.
And prior to the creation of the SEL Kit Project, we first came up with the idea to create and distribute early learning kits to disconnected families in our communities at no cost to them. The early learning kits were developed during COVID, when many families were either disenrolling their children or not enrolling their children in any type of early learning program. These kits included items to support learning in all 5 domains, including social emotional learning. To date, we've given out over 350 of these kits to families in our 7 communities.
So why did we create the SEL project? Even before the pandemic, our council had noticed that many children were starting preschool and kindergarten without the social emotional skills that they needed to succeed. And then obviously the pandemic made this issue worse, highlighting the growing need for SEL support. As part of our strategic plan, we created a parent survey called "What Do You and Your Children Need?" to identify those priorities. And we chose this straightforward title instead of terms like needs assessment to encourage more parent participation. We specialize in community and family outreach engagement, and we know that when you want to get families to engage in surveys, you really have to word it in a way that they will understand and will want them to participate. So as you can see from the slide on the screen, we had really good turnout, and what the top need that was identified was social emotional learning.
Building upon the success of the early learning kits, we came up with the idea of creating kits focused solely on social emotional learning. Working with our mental health task force, we created a survey to identify a comprehensive list of items to include in the kits. The available funding, along with individual donations, enabled us to buy supplies to create 60 kits. Next. The limited funding resulted in a limited number of kits. So to reach as many families as possible with these kits, we decided that phase 1 would focus on distributing them to programs that serve children ages 2 to 8 years from our communities. Next.
So we have to, we work with 7 communities in Northeast Connecticut, rural Northeast Connecticut, and it's a 30-mile radius. So it's a big section to cover. And we work alongside various programs and agencies. So our outreach had to be clear and direct, making sure that they understood the following key points: that the kit was free, there was eligibility requirements. We were sticking to the communities that we served, our 7 communities, and what was in the kit. So we created tailored flyers for different agencies. The one you're seeing here now is one for our local child care programs. And again, we really wanted to make sure that it was an easy process for them to sign up. So we created an easy online request form with QR codes in all our flyers. And in that sign-up form, we had to capture some key data. So one of the questions that we asked them was, how many children do you serve? And this was important to us and important when you're doing work like this, because it's critical to measure the outcomes for securing future funding and to be able to report back. And we really wanted to see how many families were being impacted in their work. The majority of the kits were delivered in person and we dropped them off. That helped strengthen those connections with our community partners. And we had several new people sign up, so it was our first time meeting them. The picture you see here is our local librarian from Killingly Public Library, and they asked for a kit and then they incorporated it into a story hour that they did with families. So it was a great way to see the kit being used and for a broader audience. So here is a list of many of the programs that signed up. They ranged from libraries to pre-K programs, daycares, social workers and school counselors at our local schools, family resource centers, behavioral health programs, parent educator programs. And the picture is one of our local elementary schools. They held an SEL parent night and the social worker had this table. And as you can see from the pictures, lots of our items from our kit were on there. And I was there and I saw firsthand how the kids gravitated towards her table to play with those little spots of emotion, which then enabled her to have meaningful conversation with parents. So it was a great way to see it in action. So phase 2 is the best practices for hosting workshops. And I do want to encourage people during our presentation, please feel free if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat. We're hoping to allow time at the end to be able to answer some of those questions.
So once we fulfilled requests from community programs, we wanted to begin distributing kits directly to families to use at home. However, unlike the early learning kits, which we dropped off to families, we recognized the need for a different approach. We wanted to ensure that parents were not only provided with the resources, but also given guidance on how to use them effectively to support their children's social emotional development. This is when we decided to hold workshops for families. Next. We were able to secure limited funding that allowed us to create 15 kits for a pilot workshop that was held in May of 2023. We partnered with 2 local organizations who provided in-kind space, staff support, and on-site childcare. Due to the limited funding, we were not able to offer dinner at this workshop, so we scheduled it later in the evening from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Next. We created a flyer with an online survey for families to register for the workshop. The registration survey captured what families were experiencing and what they hoped to gain from attending, which allowed us to customize resources. Registrations were confirmed with families by NECC staff, and a reminder was sent shortly before the workshop. Attendees were informed that we would be sending them a follow-up survey to capture their feedback to assess how well we were meeting their needs and expectations. We allowed families some time to process the information and utilize the items in the kit before we sent them the feedback survey. Based upon their feedback, we learned that the on-site childcare was essential. Families would also appreciate having a dinner and more time to talk, which we thought was great. Sustainability. 50% of the families who attended the pilot workshop reported that it exceeded their expectations. We were thrilled to hear that. Building upon the success of the first workshop, our goal was to secure funding to offer additional workshops and provide a free dinner for families. Our funding came from multiple sources, much like the patchwork quilt. We obtained support from 2 local banks, each sponsoring 1 workshop. And additionally, we secured grant funding from state partners and a local service club. The in-kind contributions from our community partners also played a crucial role in our success. In addition to sponsorships and grant funding, we also created an online wish list, allowing individuals or other donors to purchase tangible items instead of making monetary donations. One of our local schools received the shipments, and we set that address as the default shipping address.
So we wanted to give you some information in case, again, this is something that you want to replicate in your own community on how a workshop works, right? What's the flow, the structure, the costs? So total duration of a workshop is typically 1 hour and 3/4 to 2 hours. We do dinner as an option for parents from 5:30 to 6. So why we do it as an option, one, we know some families are still, getting out of work and trying to get there. So we really want to encourage participation. But we also find that probably 90% of our families who come to our workshops do partake in the dinner. And what we do is we send them a reminder with actually the menu. And we found that that actually encourages more participation. We get people who show up and we get them, they bring their spouses when they know they're getting a nice hot meal. We've had families show up with spouses, which is excellent when you're doing this work when both parents are participating in the workshop. Then between 6 and 6:15 is that transition time. They bring their kids over to the childcare room, and then we start the workshop, and it's about 1 hour, and that's the presentation, Q&A. We typically like to keep it at about 15 families because, again, we know sometimes they bring spouses, and it can be up to 20 people. However, we do only give 1 kit per family. We also have a social worker or a school counselor or parent educator present at this event. So if families have questions that's beyond our skill level, they have a professional there to help answer those questions and make that connection with them. The average cost of a workshop for 15 families, which includes the cost of the SEL kits, which those typically range between $60 to $75, depending on, the price when we purchase items, and includes the dinner and the childcare, can roughly be between $1,400 and $1,600. Facilitators, we facilitate them, so we're paid through our work. But if you were to replicate this and you had to hire someone, you might want to build in a little bit more cost. Or again, if you can get donations, you may be able to run these workshops for even less. So we want to actually take you through the presentation that we do with families. It is the actual, we're going to show you the actual slides we use with families. But the reason we want to show you this is we wanted to show you the key elements we built into our presentations and the why behind it, why we included these things. We collaborated with many people when we built these presentations to make sure we were including very important key information. And again, remember, our workshops are geared for families with children ages 2 through 8 because that is our mission. So this is the start of the presentation that we show families. We begin to introducing parents to the importance of social emotional learning. For some, this may be their first exposure to this concept. So we start with the why, explaining how SEL supports children's development and how they naturally learn through play. We really want parents to understand the importance of engaging in purposeful play to support their child's emotional and social growth at home.
Next, we explore what social emotional skills are and why they are vital for a child's development. We highlight the importance of these skills as they serve as the foundation for healthy relationships, self-regulation, and overall well-being. To illustrate the impact of social emotional interactions, we show parents the still face experiment video. This powerful demonstration highlights how young children rely on responsive interactions to build trust, regulate emotions, and develop social connections. Some of you may have already seen this video, but some of you may not. So we will play this 2-minute video and then invite you to share your feedback in the chat.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In this still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about 1 year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good.
That was a pretty powerful video that we share with our families. And then we conduct an anonymous online poll after showing the video to enable participants to express their thoughts and reactions openly without the pressure of speaking in front of a group. This method promotes honest feedback, especially on sensitive topics, and help us gauge understanding, emotions, or key takeaways. This slide displays real responses from one of our workshops and sparked a discussion where we explored participants' feelings. We addressed topics like parent guilt and the fact that kids don't come with instructions. Some were surprised to learn that infants can engage in social interactions at such a young age. We also discussed how the baby's response might appear in an older child. Next, we provide an overview of the items included in the SEL kit that they will receive at the end of the workshop. We want parents and caregivers to have realistic expectations and understand that there is no magic wand. These items are tools in their toolbox. It'll take practice, consistency, and time.
So we have learned that it's best not to give out the kit at the beginning of the workshop. We hold that to the end because we find that parents will start going through the items. So when we get to this slide, it's an overview. We really want to stress that each item in the kit serves a specific purpose, and then we're going to go over those items with them, and that how they use these kits may vary with each child, that each child is unique. What works with one might not work with the other. But again, we just kind of want to give them a quick overview. And then we dive into each item. So we start with our anchor item, and this is called the Little Box of Emotions book set with plush toys. We found that this is an excellent resource for teaching children about emotion in a hands-on and engaging way. It encourages children and parents to become emotion detectives. We actually even give them a little magnifying glass in their kit so they can practice it at home. It comes with 8 little plush toys representing anger, anxiety, peace, sadness, happiness, love, confidence, and then our favorite one, which is called Tangled, and he's actually called Scribble, and he's tangled with all the emotions. Holding and interacting with these toys, we found really helps reinforce that emotional concept, making them more tangible and relatable to young learners. The book, it comes with the book, and that really further supports the learning in a very child-friendly way. It also comes with a mirror in the book so kids can practice their emotions on their face. It comes with a feelings poster. The actual dust jacket of the book is a poster, and we found that families use those within their homes with their children. And then we also usually play a short video for families showing the book being read out loud. And again, this is our anchor item. It's the most expensive item in the kit, but we did a lot of research on this and with our mental health task force, and this item was the one that was chosen, and it's been a great item in our kit. We actually had one family tell us that her child, they were leaving after she took our workshop and they incorporated this tool in their house. Their child took the little anger emotion spot with them on a car ride. And the mom asked the child, you know, why are you angry? Why are you bringing that? And the child said, no, Mom, I'm bringing it because you're angry. So you're angry when you drive. So we thought it was a great way to see how children are actually using. Next, we have something called Calm Down cards, and these are great. They were actually created by 2 of our community partners, and they offer easy to access strategies for calming techniques that can be used on the go. So these are printed on cardstock with the little key ring, and there's probably about 15 cards in the set. And they're great because they can be put in the purse, in the diaper bag, in your center console of your car, because we know that emotions arise at any time. And it's usually at those times when it's most inconvenient. You're grocery shopping, you're out to dinner. So we really wanted to provide a tool for families where they could access quick resources to be able to practice techniques with their families, with their children.
So once we've shared ways for children to identify their emotions, we explore how our actions can impact how others feel. The ABCs of Kindness book highlights a diverse and inclusive cast of children showing acts of kindness and generosity. This book can be used to spark conversations about empathy and compassion for others. On the surface, this looks like a simple ABC book, but we share that empathy is learned and it can be a complicated topic. We also felt it was important to include resources to support mental health. Gizmo's Guide to Mental Health is a free resource for programs in Connecticut. Programs outside of Connecticut are eligible to request 1 free copy of this book. There are also a number of free resources on Gizmo's website. The guide introduces mental health and wellness knowledge and skills to youth at an early age, with the hope that they may keep and apply what they learned for a lifetime to help them stay healthy and safe. The Gizmo curriculum is data-driven, evidence-informed, and aligns with CASEL and MTSS and supports protective factors. The guide's message is child-friendly and is presented by Gizmo, a therapy dog who lives in Connecticut. I actually had the opportunity to hold and meet little Gizmo. Next. Other items included in the kit are stand timers to help children with transitions, fidget sensory toys such as stress balls, coil springs, and pop tubes. 2 hand puppets are included to provide children with a safe space to explore and express their emotions, develop empathy, practice communication skills, and learn how to navigate different social situations through imaginative play, while feeling less personal pressure due to the puppet representing their feelings rather than themselves directly.
After we finish up with the items in the kit, we want to share other strategies and begin to talk to parents about how they can implement those strategies. So one of the things that we talk about is creating a calm down area at their home. We really walk them through how they can design one of those areas, a space where children can go to regain their emotions. We talk about finding a spot. It doesn't have to be a large spot. Make it cozy, adding calming tools, right? Some of the items they might get in their kit. Explain and practice, show them where the spot is, explain that this is a place that they can go when they need a break, let them add their own items, and then calm reminders on how to use it, right? So when your child is feeling frustrated, they can use that area. And again, we say, will this work perfectly every time? Absolutely not. But it's another coping skill that we give families to use to help with social emotional learning.
As we near the end of our workshop, we review some key points with families, using everyday activities to talk about emotions, whether reading a book or watching a movie. Consistency is key, modeling good behavior and staying calm, recognizing that it's easier said than done, and reminding parents and caregivers to take a minute to breathe. We also encourage parents to create a plan with their child when they are calm, helping them problem solve a tricky situation, punish less, praise more, check your expectations. We share the Connecticut Early Learning and Development Standards by age. Planning, organizing, problem solving, and impulse control takes time and continues to develop into young adulthood. Next. This slide was incorporated based upon parent-caregiver responses that we captured during the registration. For one workshop, several families were asking for resources around impulse control. To encourage learning through play, we shared the freeze dance video and other games and included more tips and suggestions. Here we emphasize again the need to have others taking part in the games to model the desired behavior. For another workshop, the families were asking for resources around bullying, so we included a slide and resources around that topic.
So next, we want to share resources that they could benefit from that we've learned about locally, and they're free resources. While some of these resources you do have to pay for, we always show parents just the free ones. So this is Ruth Freeman. She's the president and co-founder of Peace at Home Parenting Solution. While she is local to Connecticut, her resources are available nationwide. She has 30 degree experts that specialize in child development and parenting from prenatal to young adults. They deliver live interactive programs, recorded content, blogs, and they connect parents to proven solutions. We've actually had Ruth do some workshops with us several years back. But what we like about it is you can go to her website and there are free resources that families can click on and watch those pre-recorded content. And if you are a family who's on the Connecticut Husky health insurance, they have a whole free library for families, which is very beneficial for a lot of the families that come to our workshop. Another resource that we came upon a few years back that we love is the Cook Center for Human Connection. They have created the parentguidance.org website. They have over 70 free on-demand courses with a variety of topics. They've made all those courses open to everybody and you don't need to register. You can just go on, click on the on-demand classes, go through the topics and watch them. They also have a library of free pre-recorded answers under their Ask a Therapist feature, which is great. Again, you can go on and actually see questions that people have asked and a therapist is answering them. Again, they do have paid features, but we highlight for our families the free ones that they can go to.
As we began offering more SEL workshops, we started including a presentation about Connecticut's free mobile app called Sparkler. The Sparkler app helps families spark healthy early development of children ages 5 and under by offering developmental screenings, tips for play, learning, and connection. The app, which is available in multiple languages, empowers parents and caregivers as first teachers and helps systems serve families better together. Through the Sparkler Learning Grant, we were able to leverage additional funding to support the workshops and partner with the Sparkler Family and Community Engagement Specialist to present the information and answer any questions. The ability for parents and caregivers to conduct developmental screenings utilizing the ASQ and ASQ-SE on their own time and at their own pace is highlighted. Results of the screenings are shared with a local program who connects with the family to share any support recommendations as needed. Currently, the Sparkler app is available in Connecticut, Ohio, San Francisco, and Utah.
But that would be a good place in a presentation if you have another screening tool that your community uses to share that with families to encourage developmental screenings. So then we end with sharing additional local, state, and national resources. The links are embedded. We share our presentation with families afterwards digitally so they can just click on the links. And again, this is where we really take the information that we get when parents register for our workshops and tailor the resources to what they were asking for. One of the things we like to share with them, we are very proud that we were able to create this comprehensive 39-page resources for families in Northeast Connecticut guide. This has been a big collaboration that we've done over the last several years. And so we share it because it's local to us. There's printed copies. We have an online version. As you can see from the table of contents, it has pretty much everything a family would need around early childhood. So this would be if you had something like this in your community where you would want to share that. What we find is connecting our families to local resources is key in building those relationships. And we've been lucky that we've been able to provide our personal guide. But again, sharing your local resources with them is what's important. And then we end with Q&A. Again, we always say kids don't come with instructions, so it's really important that you make connections. Our goal is that they leave with making a connection that night. And then we always have a table with more printed resources of different classes that are happening around our communities that they can take with them that night. So again, I know that was kind of a quick summary, but we wanted to let you know, please put questions in the chat. And then we want to talk a little bit about the next phase, which is our Parent Cafés. So after hosting our SEL workshops, again, we listen to our parent feedback, which is key when you're doing this work. Many expressed a strong desire for more time to connect and share experiences with other parents. In our workshops, we're doing a lot of the talking and information, and our parents do have time to interact with each other, but they left saying, hey, we want more of that. So in response to that, we launched phase 3, which are Parent Cafés. And if you're not familiar with the Parent Cafe, it's a place where you can come, parents come, and they can obtain support, share their stories, experiences, concerns, under facilitated conversations. It gives them a sense of community, and it really sparks those meaningful conversations so they learn that they're not alone in the challenges that they face. You can see here, that's an example of the flyer that we put out when we do a cafe. And you'll see to the right there, there's a little section that says self-care isn't selfish. That was actually added to our last few Parent Cafés because of the feedback we got from families. They really wanted to talk a little bit more about self-care as well.
We followed roughly the same timeframes as the SEL workshops and also provided on-site childcare for children ages 2 and up. Younger children could stay with their families. We provided a family dinner and we sent the menu in advance. We found that encouraged participation, especially if you're transitioning your child. And it's good to know what they're having, if they have a picky eater, or just helps them prepare. The cost to run the cafes were similar to that of the SEL workshops. We made sure that we had a relaxed, inviting environment to encourage open conversation. Next. Participants sat in small groups of approximately 6 per table with a facilitator present to guide the discussions. This was another event where we collaborated with our state and community partners, the NECC's parent ambassadors, local parent educators, as well as Sparkler family and community engagement specialists participated in the cafe, sharing pre-prepared prompts and guiding conversations. Next. A resource table was provided at each cafe for the families that attended. Cafe participants received a kit that contained items not included in the SEL workshop kits to continue to build their toolbox to support social emotional learning. Some cafe participants had already attended a previous cafe as well as a SEL workshop, so those attendees were given a kit containing additional items not included in either kit. Again, continually building upon their resources.
So like Chris just mentioned, many of our families attend a workshop and then they attend a cafe. However, that's not always the case. We have families who the first time they're getting introduced to SEL learning is through our cafes. So we wanted to provide them with a kit of tools as well, but we wanted to make it different in case that they had attended both. So in this kit, we give them a couple books. One is the book, Glad Monster, Sad Monster, a book about feelings, which is an excellent book for that. And again, we had got all these recommendations from our mental health task force, from people who do the work every day. We also include a book about mindful exercises called Breathe Like a Bear. Great book, 30 quick, simple mindful moments that kids can do to feel calm and focused. And then we also wanted to include, again, a tangible item. We know that those tangible items work well with engagement with families and kids. So there's two that we choose from depending on if the family has already attended one. They always get a folder with resources. And again, there was assorted fidget toys in their kit. This kit typically costs us between $45 to $50. We do the same thing. We try to limit it to 15 families just because of the size, especially when you're doing guided conversations. And again, those cafes can run about $1,000 to $1,400 depending on the price of things when you host a workshop.
And all of our events are very well attended. They're basically full every time we run our workshops or cafes, and it's because we're giving parents something that they asked for. We created the survey. They told us what we needed. We present them with these events, and then we follow up with a feedback survey to say, how did we do?
So we wanted to share with you some of the feedback. So like Chris mentioned, we do conduct post-workshop surveys for both our cafes and our workshops. And that's really to ensure that the time parents spend with us is meaningful and valuable. These surveys help us understand whether parents have learned new skills, if the tools provided in the toolbox have been effective, how they're being used at home. We typically wait several weeks to up to a couple of months before sending them that survey because we really want to make sure we give them a time to integrate the resources into their daily routines. Additionally, for us, collecting the data is essential for reporting back to our funders and our leadership team so we can demonstrate the impact that these are having on our families and hopefully guide future improvements. We ask about each item in the kit. We have them rate them, and then there's always open-ended comments. And then we also ask them to rate the individual things like childcare, food, and then the overall workshop. And again, this is very important. We typically get probably a 75% return rate on our surveys. We do talk about it at the end of our workshop. We tell them, you're going to be getting a survey in a few months. Please take the time to fill it out. This is helpful. If you want to see more events like this, we really need that feedback to do that. So I wanted to share the next few slides before we end and open it up to questions is the feedback that we got from parents. Because again, when we first started this, it was an idea that we had, and when we started seeing the feedback come in, it really validated that what we were doing was impactful for families. And we just love that they love sharing how impactful it was for them. So the first few slides are about our anchor item, because again, that is the most expensive item in the kit. So we were super happy when we saw that it got a 5-star rating. Pretty much that's the rating it gets across the board when we hold these workshops. Some of the feedback you can see here, amazing. We love them, use them daily. The chart is in our calm down corner, which was great because we knew that they were actually implementing one of those. Another parent said that her child is a visual learner, so the emotion spot was really helpful to understanding emotions. Another family, I absolutely love that my daughter can show her emotions with these little spots. She couldn't figure out how to tell me how she was feeling one day and ran over to the box of spots and grabbed one and opened the book. And now the mom uses that as a strategy. In addition, we also offer the option for families to upload photos of their children using it. So this is little Noah. He was using the sadness emoji, putting it on his cheek and trying to cheer the little emoji up. And then he had the 2 little emojis kissing each other to cheer them up. Her 8-year-old actually used the contents of the book and the spot to do his weekly reading. And then we also have 2 of our other little children, Wesley and Eslyn, who are snuggled up with their books and their emotion spots as well.
So we had these are actual quotes from our feedback survey. My husband and I thought the workshop was wonderful, and we were so glad we went. I know how important it is, time constraints with parents, and so just making it meaningful, meeting their expectations was our goal, and we, more than half reported that we exceeded them. So we continue to utilize the feedback to add to our workshops and our events and just improve where we can. And the biggest challenge is the limited funding. So we're always trying to be creative in how we secure additional funds to support conducting more of these.
Yep. And we were happy to see comments around, we practiced some of these recommendations in the list, and his teacher reported he doesn't run and hide in his cubby anymore. So we were glad to see that the strategies kids are learning at home is actually translating into their school life, which is great. We love to see comments around the other items, like my daughter is in love with the hand puppets. She wants to play with them. I think they're helping her socially and make her talk in longer conversations. So that was around our workshop. And then our cafes, because our cafes are a different model. Chris and I are both trained facilitator in parent cafes. And it's different than a workshop, right? It's more engaging. You're having those conversations. So we were happy to see that families reported that they were also enjoying the cafe. A lot of our comments were around the most valuable for me was sharing with parents, strength-based perspectives, that it was nice to be encouraged to discuss hardships and parenting hacks with other parents and see that struggling is universal, right? And parenting can be very isolating, and we may not get that sort of empathy from others. So just that sharing, that cafe model of being able to sit there and talk with parents and share that, hey, I'm not alone in this. And then they love learning from other parents, what they do to help. And that is all we have for our presentation.
Thank you guys so much. This is wonderful. There's so many questions. There's questions. Everybody wants access to the presentation. So I think if you want to keep up your email on the up here, I think that would help, because everybody would love access to the presentation. They do know that it is being recorded, and so they can come back and view again if they need to. There were just a couple other questions about how you selected the resource, the main resource that you did, and sort of maybe the process quickly. We only have 2 minutes left, so this might have to be quick.
So we have a mental health task force, and that's comprised of licensed professionals, districts, school district staff, and we created a survey monkey and put suggested items in the survey. We also added some open-ended questions so they could recommend an item, they could rate the items, and it was really their selection that's how they were chosen. And also parent feedback to confirm that they are working for families.
There's also a question around translation, and if you use translation at your workshops.
So I know the Gizmo resource is available in Spanish, and the Sparkler app is available in multiple languages. We haven't had a need beyond that at this point to have it translated.
Yeah, I mean, all communities are different, right? All looks different for different folks. So, all right, that's I think all the time we have for. I just want to say thank you so much to Christine and all of our participants today for sharing in this really impactful and resource-rich and empowering workshop. Thank you all so much.
Okay, yes, thank you for a really very helpful presentation. Very practical, really wonderful. Folks who are looking for the slides will be available on the SEL Day website in the Summit section, where you'll also find recordings of all of the sessions. So if you missed if you came in late for this session or missed any of the earlier sessions, the first 3 sessions are all posted already on the Summit site, on the Summit page on selday.org. So you can go there, and there are more sessions coming up. This was the 4th of 9 sessions that will be happening at each session at the top of the hour through the rest of the day. And there's another session coming up that's really an exciting session that is on the looking at how does SEL shape our workplaces? How does SEL shape our workplaces? With an amazing, very, very knowledgeable speaker who has been doing research on well-being and emotional intelligence at Stanford and Yale. So you'll definitely want to be part of that session. So come back and join us again at the top of the hour for the next session.